Lift the front end of the bike so the front wheel is off the ground. Give the wheel a gentle spin. It must turn smoothly without clicks or catches. If there's a problem with the brake, open it to check the hub. Mudguards rubbing may be another source of distracting problems. If you set the valve hole at 3 o'clock, a good wheel bearing will allow the weight of the valve, or the weight of the joint in the rim, which is opposite the valve, to pull to the bottom. On a brand new or recently serviced bike, the hub may be full of grease. Otherwise, a bearing in good condition will allow this movement. Grab the rim and pull it sideways. If the bike has rim brakes, open the brake. Rotate the handle through 180 degrees from the closed position to the open position. If the ends of the fork have lawyer lip safety tags, you'll have to unscrew the nut on the opposite side of the handle and retighten it when you replace the wheel in the fork. Lift the bike off the wheel. Take the wheel off the bike to access the front hub. Hold the cone on one side still with the cone spanner and loosen the lock nut. Unscrew and take off the lock nut, washer and cone. Separate the hub and the axle and catch the balls as they fall out. Count them. Shake or pick out the remaining balls. Clean all the loose parts and cups inside the front hub. The front hub may have removable push-fit dust covers that will come out to make cleaning inside easier. Check the surfaces on the cones and inside the front hub shell where the balls run for roughness or uneven wear. Worn cones can be replaced, but if a hub is worn, it may need to be scrapped. If you need to replace the cones, measure the position of the ones still on the axle and make sure they go back in the same place, so the axle is centered in the front hub. Pack the races in the front hub with new grease and press the same number of new balls, of exactly the same size, into the grease. Changing the balls prolongs the life of the other parts. If you're not sure how many balls came out, or if you suspect that the front hub was packed with the wrong number of balls, fill a race with balls and then take one out. The balls need room to roll around. Check the lock nut and cone assembly, still on the axle, are locked tight. Feed the axle into the front hub, taking care not to disturb the balls. Assemble the other side and adjust the front hub. Remount the wheel on the bike. An adjustable front hub has a lock nut on the outside, then sometimes a washer, then the cone, which has two narrow flats. Cone spanners are thin spanners that fit onto the narrow flats. You need one that fits the narrow flats exactly. This is likely to be somewhere between 13mm and 16mm. Hold the axle still with the cone spanner on the cone and turn the lock nut anti-clockwise to unlock the bearing. If the wheel is off the bike, you may be able to hold the lock nut with a normal open-ended spanner. If you want to work with the wheel on the bike, another cone spanner may be necessary. Screw the cone in or out to tighten or loosen the bearing on the front hub. When you move it out, hold the axle still with a spanner on the cone on the opposite side. When you move it in, hold the axle still with a spanner on the lock nut on the other side. Make small adjustments and check the bearing between each. Once the bearing is in the target zone of not too loose and not too tight, hold the cone still and screw the lock nut tight against it to lock the bearing on the front hub. Check the bearing and readjust if necessary. The act of locking may change the tightness of the bearing, so if your first try at locking ends up too tight, start again with the bearing very slightly looser. Lower the bike onto the wheel. The convention is to put the lever on the left side of the bike so it matches the one on the rear, which is on the non-drive side. Facing the bike from the front with your head on the bike's center line, check the wheel is centered in the frame. Close the lever. If this action is too easy, tighten the nut on the opposite side. If it won't close fully, loosen the nut. Repeat until locking the lever gives satisfactory resistance. The pressure involved should leave a mark on your hand. The close lever must point up and back, where it's safe from being flipped open accidentally in a tangle with another bike or by bumping against something like a door frame. If the bike has rim brakes, close the brake.